The Dodgers are making multiple moves as a plethora of reports have already come out detailing moves the Dodgers are taking a look at before they make a free agency move. We're going to be breaking it down, going over the implications that this has on this current team and how one move in specific changes the entire narrative of what the Dodgers are going to need to do in free agency here in this video. Before we do jump into it though, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you one favor, and that's if you haven't already, be sure to hit the sub button. Join me here on the channel. We're covering everything Dodgers, and we have a lot of stuff to cover with these reports sparking an entirely new conversation for this video. So we need to get straight into it. It's 100% free, so hit that button if you haven't already. But I want to jump first into the quote that we got revolving yesterday's video from Fabian Ardaya and what Jace covered. And what we have here is the first domino to fall with a lot of what will come later in this video that we're going to be doing. And I'm not going to break this down too much, so watch Jace's video if you haven't already, the one before this, and get back here for the end part of this video. But with Ward now on the 40-man roster, at least one potential configuration could be a platoon with left-handed hitting Ward and right-handed hitting Alex Call, who the Dodgers acquired at the deadline and is entering his first year of arbitration. Call logged just 15 plate appearances during the World Series and 85 after the trade, during the regular season. Now, this is what Jace broke down, so I'm not diving too deep into this, but having this come out, then having a bunch of other things that are falling all piece by piece with another report that we're jumping into here in a moment be really something that the Dodgers are now putting themselves in a predicament after this happening. Now, going into this as well, of course, Ryan Ward, great player, played fantastic last year, and has earned that spot to be put in this Dodgers roster. I mean, 290 last year, having an OPS of 937, leading the home run category for them. Great season for him. But when you're coming down into what it could look like, of course, assuming Kyle Tucker is a Dodger, he'd slide in at right field, Pages at center, left Teoscar. You really run the platoon there then as your secondary, giving them a great option. But one thing that has really sparked a lot of interesting stuff with Ryan Ward being here in this lineup, being an option, is Dalton Rushing. And a report that we're going to be going over here in a moment really causes a major stir among Dodgers fans of how things are going to play out, not just regarding, in this instance, Ryan Ward, but what the plan is going to be for Dalton Rushing. And when you once again take a look at this, note one thing. Dalton Rushing is not here. He has played center field, can play center field. Will he is the big question. And I'm going to ask you this in a moment. Do you think he will? Do you think he should? But let me explain why this is a major predicament going into this. Now, going off that other quote, like I said, the dominoes are falling. And this is what Jack Harris said going on talking about Dalton Rushing. The door also remains open to backup catcher Dalton Rushing potentially getting some time in the outfield again after he struggled with limited playing time behind Will Smith. Now, this is something that, yes, we can expect. We saw. But a recent set of moves has put this into a very difficult decision for the Dodgers to make, and that is with the Reds claiming Ben Rorved off waivers from the Dodgers. The veteran backup catcher no longer on this roster. He was a guy you can trust in any given scenario, and stepping ahead of Dalton Rushing quite a bit, now you have no backup catcher other than Dalton Rushing. And if the Dodgers' plan is to bolster this outfield, as Jay spoke about in yesterday's video, and we're talking about a little bit here, inside the organization, yes, having Dalton Rushing is a fantastic idea, but you're limiting yourself to how many games he can play, specifically when you have him as a backup catcher. Very rarely will you take Will Smith out for a pinch hitter, pinch runner, but when you do, you have one guy right now. And that's one thing that this Dodgers organization is certainly at a standstill on, whether they want to do so or not. And Dalton Rushing, last year in the majors, in his 53 games, really did not play great on offense. Defense was fine. Defense is what it is. You know what you're getting out of Dalton Rushing, but certainly last year was not what you wanted to see in the MLB. When you look at AAA, when you look at his previous years, he's been great. There's no worry for Dalton Rushing about whether his production will translate to the MLB level. It will. It will just take time. I have no worries about that. But like I said, when you're looking at the defense here in the outfield, you're looking at Ryan Ward, Alex Call, having possible Dalton Rushing out there if Ryan Ward they don't think is ready. There's a lot of questions that are going to be surrounding what is going to happen with your backup catcher. And yes, a backup catcher, not necessarily replaceable, but they will not be featured in every game. You want to have a guy that is reliable, but for the instance of Dalton Rushing, you don't want him sitting behind Will Smith for too long. And looking at how we see Dalton Rushing play, like I said, it will translate to the MLB. His offense will be there. It is just going to be a matter of time until it does. I think that this is going to be the best way to do it, is have him kind of go back and forth between catching and the outfield. Will Smith is not really a guy that needs to sit every so often, every couple of games. He's a guy that can go for as long as we need him. That's why he's so good at this level. But you want to see Dalton Rushing at some point get into games, and it does seem like at least the outfield will be the best option for that. And with that claim, you're limiting yourself to what you can see here at this level. And when you look at right now what the depth chart is, it's Will Smith and Dalton Rushing. So there at least has to be some trust this organization has in Dalton Rushing to put, first of all, Ben Rorvet on waivers. Second of all, have no conversation about a backup catcher in free agency. A trade is an option that can happen if the Dodgers do end up deciding to keep Dalton Rushing at, in the outfield, at center field, wherever they choose to put him. But you have to make sure you're making the right decision. You have to trust your gut, because if they don't think Dalton Rushing is a viable option, they will be making a major mistake by rushing him in to a position where he is not comfortable and have a result that you do not want to see with one of your top players. So I want to know what you guys think. Of course, Jace's video yesterday was a lot on Ryan Ward, so be sure to go check out that to get the full explanation. But I ask you this question here. Would you keep Dalton Rushing as a backup catcher or put him in the outfield? There's options to pick up a backup catcher if they wanted to put Dalton Rushing in the outfield as a permanent position. There is one thing that has been floating around lately in result of the White Sox. Francie Romero tweeted this out. Multiple MLB teams are interested in acquiring 22-year-old Cuban catcher Edgar Quero from the White Sox. It would, however, be a very high price. So the Dodgers do have prospects that can be moved, that they don't think will make the MLB level or make an impact at the MLB level, at least over the next couple of seasons. That is an option. I'm not saying anything is going to happen on that front, but that is something that the Dodgers may keep an eye on if they decide to move Dalton Rushing to a permanent outfield position, which still, I don't think is going to be the case, but at this point right now, you would like to have a veteran catcher as an option behind Dalton Rushing. It certainly is there when you have a guy in Dalton Rushing who's also in the outfield. Now, there's also schemes they could do. Have Dalton Rushing in the outfield, take Will Smith out, move Rushing in, put whether it be a Ryan Ward or a Tommy Edman or an Alex Call there. Those options are there, but the Dodgers need to be careful with what they are doing. So let me know in the comments below what you think. What set of moves would you make here? I'm curious to see, because I feel like if we do go ahead and take a look at every possible one, we would be here for a full day talking about what moves can be made. So I want to know what you guys think. Anything interesting? We can throw it in a video. So let me know. Put your opinions in the comments below if you want to see these in a video later on. But that's all I got here on this one. If you did enjoy, give it a like. Hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.